Hey everyone, this is Whitney and welcome to With the Messenger. This will be your astrological forecast for Mercury retrograde that is occurring from March 15th to April 7th. Sorry, I got my dates kind of confused there for a little bit. Mercury retrograde things, right? So this retrograde is going to happen in two signs, Aries and the sign of Pisces. Timestamps will be in the description box down below as well, pinned in the comment section. If you're new to astrology, I do have in the description box a video that I did on how to cast your natal chart and just to help you to find your sun, your moon, your rising. A little bit of tips and tricks just to help you to have the foundation that you need, that you can build upon and to follow along in these videos. This is tropical astrology. I use whole sign houses to delineate the transits that are occurring. So just for those who want to know, Placidus is really hard for, let me let this pass. Placidus is really difficult for those who are newcomers to astrology, and also it's difficult for astrologers who are giving general readings on YouTube to use Placidus system, because if we do that, then each person's houses, they may start from a different degree in the signs, and it's a whole thing, so don't confuse yourself. Just use whole sign houses. So a little bit of overview. So the Mercury retrograde in Aries is going to take place from 9 degrees to 0 degrees. It started today, March the 15th, at 9 degrees. And the theme that is speaking in is going back over things that you had an idea about, but you've been scared to act on it because you feel like, okay, somebody already does this, or too many people already do this, mine won't be good enough. Some of you may see limitations in situations or in things that you want to accomplish rather than seeing the possibility, right? For some people, they could be activating new consciousness, new timelines. Some people are seeing where they were ahead of their time. And I know this specifically for a client / friend of mine who is an Aries sun. And, he has something that has come back to him where he was able to see, he was ahead of his time in this. So especially Cancer placements, Cancer rising, suns, moons, in their respective 10th house situations, they may be acknowledged for something that they were ahead of their time for, but we're going to get into that in individual signs. Old and new teachings may merge, right? They may be compared or they may be merged. And there are some situations where you may realize that you should have stick to what you've known. Okay, so let's think, for example, who has Aries in the 6th house? Scorpios, something with health, right? Some type of health or physical routine that you've done for some time. It's stick to it, okay? Like, don't go back. If you know that worked for you before, then do it again. Or something that you've done before, the problem may come up again, maybe because you stopped it, and then it's like, okay, now you got to try again. But again, I'm going to get into this in the individual signs, right? So dates connected to the retrograde in Aries portion will definitely be the eclipse that happens, the solar eclipse that happens at 8 degrees on March the 29th. So you could see themes of the Mercury retrograde for you really be highlighted then. And these dates may also be connected all the way back to March 3rd and March 15th, when Mercury was going retrograde over 0 to 9 degrees, okay? So I would say March 3rd, March 15th, March 29th, all connected, okay? Now, going to when it moves into the sign of Pisces, which will be on March 30th up to April 7th. So 26 degrees to 29 degrees of Pisces. If you have any placements there, definitely it will be activated by the retrograde over those planets. And it stations on the 7th of April. And I want to more so focus on the station, okay? Because it only goes over 3 degrees in the sign of Pisces. But I want to focus on that station at 26 degrees. There's also going to be a stellium activated in the sign of Pisces when that station happens of Mercury. And you can think about Mercury as the information god, you know, or it's the messenger. It's what brings communication. It's what brings opportunities. It's the paperwork, you know, stuff like that. So we'll have Mercury, the North Node being new things, new possibilities. Saturn, which is, you know, that responsibilities, that those demands, right? And Venus, all of those in conjunction with Mercury on the day that it stations at 26-degree Pisces. So those themes of the station is a sense of achievement and job well done. Remember to come back and watch this video when the station comes around. A time of harvest, reaping the benefits for works that you've done. So this is especially true for like Gemini placements, because they have a Pisces 10th house. So with Saturn being there in their 10th house for some time, they may have been working hard, but I'm going to get into it in the visual signs. Taking time to celebrate and connect with family and loved ones, an expanded perspective, right? You could think about the Hanged One in Tarot. I think I'm going to give each sign a tarot card. Not being able to sleep, right? And I'm going to tell you why. Lunatic behavior or illusions, and you're neglecting tasks because of perceived abundance. So it could go, you know, either way. The connected dates to this 3 degrees retrograde period would be the 1st of March to March 3rd. So when you come around March 30th to April 7th, think back to March 1st, March to March 3rd. And I also want you to think around what was happening on March 14th when there was a lunar eclipse, because that was around the same degree of 26 degree, right? It was 23 degrees, just 3 degrees apart. And around the lunar eclipse, it was hard for people to sleep. People were acting up, right? So, and you know, this 26 degrees of Pisces also has to do with the beauty of the moon. So there's a lot with the moon and the intuition that definitely will be involved within this station. Okay, so let's get into the individual signs, starting with Aries. Aries, this is happening in your 1st house and 12th house respectively. Let's start with your 1st house. You know, there are things about yourself that you will now see. For instance, I give in the beginning an example of a client of mine who's an Aries sun who realized how ahead of his time he was in a project, right? And so that could be within any facet of your life, because, you know, that would be the 1st house. Okay, if you're an Aries sun, it could be in regards to your career or purpose. If you're an Aries moon, it could be in regards to your home, your family. You were ahead of your time, right? You could have an idea that you want to do, something that it's kind of a part of your personality, a part of your identity, but you're scared to act on it because you might feel like so many other people is doing this, but it comes natural to you. So it should be something that you shouldn't be scared to act upon, and the retrograde is giving you the opportunity to go back and to do so, right? I would say stick to what is tried and true with this retrograde, okay? Especially when it comes to the way you dress, the way you do your hair, you know, stick to what you know. Don't go try anything new with this retrograde as it relates to your identity, okay? Now, when it moves into the sign of Pisces, you may have a hard time sleeping. Your intuition could be very heightened then, okay? So pay attention to your dreams, write them down. There could be multiple things that comes back for you during this retrograde period, because, you know, especially since it started first in your Aries 1st house, then it's things that's related to you and your life in a whole, right? Some of you may be interested in connecting with the moon during this time. No problem in doing that. That is actually, since it has to do with your 12th house, that's a great time to do it. I will say, pay attention to your mindset when it comes to like the ways that you self-sabotage, or like any type of scarcity mindset that you may have, because where it could be a time of celebration for you all, you may not see it as such, okay? You could just see all the wrong that could potentially be happening, okay? So just take that into consideration. Moving on to Taurus. Taurus, this is happening in your 12th house and 11th house respectively. So you definitely could have friends from the past that comes around. You could visit somewhere long distance that you've been before. When it comes to your 12th house, you may be forced to look at ways in which you create limitations for yourself, right? Just from a mindset. It's going to be more internal and more subtle, right? And you may also be you're Taurus after all, you're fixed sign, so you may be very rigid on things when it's kind of time to expand your perspective and try new ways of doing things. When it moves into the sign of Pisces, and especially when we have that station, it may be a time to celebrate and reap and harvest, especially for those who use the retrograde through Aries to break out of a certain mindset and try things in a new way. Okay, and that trying things in a new way could be literally in anything as it relates to your life, right? Taurus Suns, it could be in regards to your career. Okay, now the 11th house does have to do with friendship, so that's a time, like I said, when friends, people from your network, they could back benefactors, they could come back, somebody who benefits you before in life. The 11th house does have to do with our aspirations and our long-term gains from our career. So this could definitely be a time where you are celebrating some type of harvest if you've been working hard with Saturn there in that 11th house, okay? Or you could have some news that comes to you upon this station about something that you've been working hard for, and it's like, okay, you finally see success. Gemini, this is happening in your 11th house and 10th house respectively. So I feel for you, more than anything else, you're celebrating a lot of accomplishments when it comes to what you do in the public sphere, what you're known for. So if you've been a student, this could be where you celebrate some type of graduation. You know, in your workplace, you've been working hard with Saturn there up there in your 10th house. So you could be getting promoted, or if you have your own business, you may have been grinding, and this could be where you're reaping a lot, because it starts with that 11th house retrograde where you have an idea and maybe you've had this idea and then you finally decide to act on it. Yeah, you know, you had an idea maybe long ago and you shared it with network and friends, and now maybe they come back and like, yo, you were ahead of your time with this, you know. And you start to gain from that, right? Because 11th house have to do with our gains. And then when it moves into your 10th house, right, I feel that's where the real harvest comes. That's where you could have a boost in your status, a boost in your reputation, a boost in your career. So I feel this is going to be very beneficial for you. Now, Gemini and Pisces energy, that is a square, right? So it may just be a bit of discomfort for some of you all, or having to make a decision. Let's say an old person that you used to work with, right? Because since 10th house is involved, definitely could have to do with people that you once worked with coming back around. And you having to make a decision if you want to take that job, right? Squares aren't always bad. Sometimes it's just having to make a decision to stick with what you have or go towards something new. For old friends from the past could come back during the Aries retrograde period, okay? Let's move forward to Cancer. Cancer, this is happening in your 10th house and 9th house respectively. Listen, I'm a Gemini sun and moon, and Mercury retrograde always gets to me. I had to do a couple test videos before I started this just to ensure that my sound works properly. So for you, I do see accomplishment and celebration in terms of your career in the public sector or higher education. Okay, there could be opportunities from past career, past people that you work with, things that you studied before, places where you studied before, places that you visited before when Pisces gets activated, when it moves into your 9th house. That comes back around for you all. Okay, now I will say this, don't allow limitations to, and it's more so perceived limitations, to stop you from going forward and acting upon something that you have some type of idea about, especially if it's something that's going to propel you into the public's eye, right? With that solar eclipse that's going to happen in your 10th house, with Mercury retrograde there in your 10th house. Okay, so it could be something that is public for you to do. It could be taking on a new position, a new status, right? Whatever that may be for you all. And a simple way to do it where it's not limited to career would be if you get married, because the 9th house could be connected to marriage, right? And then your 10th house title is then going to change. You're going to be known as a wife or as a husband. Okay, so whatever that is for you, where your status change, your title changes, just don't allow any limitations that you think that it's going to put on you to put a damper in between what it is that you could accomplish, because the 9th house does have to do with celebration. So when we have that stellium activated there in that 9th house on the station April 7th, it could, if you use the retrograde in Aries wisely, it could be a great time. And I mean, Aries does square the sign of Cancer, so for you, whatever this is, it could feel of like a bit of discomfort, whatever comes back when the retrograde happens in Aries in your 10th house. But it's what you're supposed to do, okay? Remember, don't let certain things get in the way of you acting upon what is coming back with the retrograde. Leo. Okay, Leo, so this is happening in your 9th house and 8th house respectively. I feel all fire signs may have a hard time sleeping. Their minds may roam a bit, right? So let's start with the 9th house activation first. Some of you could be having past mentors and gurus come back around, people that you went to school with, like higher education, or say universities and colleges and stuff like that. Or you may choose to take a backup course of study or visit a college or university or somewhere that you traveled long distance before. Okay, now if there is, let's say you want to go back to school, right? Because Mercury retrograde is there in your 9th house, so it could be some type of old course of study that comes back up for you all. Don't let perceived limitations stop you from trying on this thing, okay? Don't let the idea that, oh, if I go for this, there's so many people in this field already, I'm not going to see any success. Don't let that stop you. Because this is very favorable energy for you. And since it's your 9th house activation, it's part of your purpose, part of what you're supposed to be doing, okay? Now, when it moves into the sign of Pisces, it may be hard for you to sleep. There may be some illusions that you have to work through, okay? And there could be money that comes to you through an inheritance. There could be money that comes to you through something that you've been working hard on. Like, let's say, for example, if you're a content creator, right? And maybe finally you get some type of viral hit, and then you get some payoff, some revenue, ad revenue, something like that, to that extent. Because the 8th house also have to do with resources that we share with another. So you could be making TikTok money, and TikTok gives you some of that money, Twitter money, YouTube money, and stuff like that. What else could you all have for this station in Pisces? Because there will be an activated stellium there in your 8th house around April 7th, and the North Node will be there. I feel this is a good time where you could spend more time and be more vulnerable with your loved ones, okay? Don't, however, let perceived abundance make you neglect your duties, right? Because the 8th house does have to do with our shared resources, what we have, right? 8th house, 2nd house, that's all about the money. So don't neglect tasks because of perceived abundance with that 8th house activation. Virgo. And I found out a friend of mine was Leo rising. And so I sent him my Leo 2025 forecast that I put out on Twitter. And so in it, I was giving him my forecast, his forecast for the lunar eclipse that just happened. And I said, don't take the money that you have and go too much into over enjoying, right? Because your money will be looking good, but just be careful that you don't spend it all or spend a chunk of it on trying to enjoy yourself and unwind. And he revealed to me that, he kind of did that last week, but he's going to stop. He's not going to do it again. And in the 2025 day forecast, I said, try to save money, because there is a high possibility that, some of you all could be moving this year. Okay. So I just want you to take that into account, Leos. Now moving on to Virgos. Virgo, so this is your 8th house and 7th house respectively. You definitely will be having past committed relationship type people coming back, past business partnership type people coming back, or people that you have some type of contractual agreement with at some point. Some of them could be coming back for some of you all. I always say when it comes to retrograde and people coming back, it has a lot to do with the amount of internal work that you've done, right? And how that is reflective in the way that you live your life. And I'm just going to leave that at that. If you understand, you understand. Virgo, Mercury is your ruler. So it doesn't matter what sign it happens in, you are affected by this. So some of you all, if you are with a committed partner, this could be a time where you go over past conversations while the retrograde happens in Aries, where you go over past conversations about things that are, say, your childhood, your trauma, pain, addictions, whatever, and one second. Gain new consciousness from this, right? You or them, because the other person is, or you could be illuminated by something that comes back around, some type of conversation that comes back around. Okay, some of you could go back to old healing modalities at this time, things that helped you to really get through a hard time. It may be time to pick that up. If it worked once before for you, it could work again. Now when it goes into the sign of Pisces, because this is a angular house for you, this is where the station would happen on the 26th now, on the 7th of April at 26 degrees Pisces. And if you are in a committed relationship, if you have a business partner, this could be where they reach some type of harvest and they celebrate with you. This could also be where the work that you put in terms of expanding your mind, expanding your consciousness, trying to heal, where, okay, now you're able to reap a relationship from it. Now maybe some of you get into a relationship, or some of you deepen your relationship with someone that you have, or even if it's an ex, come back because you do the inner work, now you all could potentially be together. It's up to you whether or not you choose to entertain an ex in retrograde. I'm definitely not going to be one of those astrologers that say try to do a blanket one size fits all. If a person come back, it's not meant to be, it's retrograde, it's going to end. No. Sometimes these retrogrades help us to course correct, especially a retrograde during eclipse season, to course correct, because we're not always right. We at our point, at some point, had some type of healing to do. And, I don't know where you are in your healing journey. I'm talking to so many people. Okay. So it's up to you. Like I said, the amount of work that you do, that's going to be reflective in what happens with your Mercury retrograde story. Sorry for being ranty, but yeah. Moving on to Libra. Libras. This is happening in your 7th house and 6th house respectively. So all work situations can come back around, or business partners, or people that you had some type of contractual agreement with, and of course exes could come back for you all as well, right? While the retrograde is happening in the sign of Aries, some of you need to expand your mind when it comes to your attachment style, your interpersonal approach, to interpersonal relationships, or businesses, negotiation agreements. Some of you may have an idea that you may want to an idea that you want to act on, and maybe get someone else involved on that idea, but you may be scared to do it. I would definitely say act on it. With the retrograde is a time, especially since it's a sign of Aries, it's a time for you to initiate things with others. But people may very well, because the seventh house represents the other. So this may be more so the person in the seventh house decided to come back around and initiate things with you. Them shedding old belief system, okay? Them recognizing how ahead of their time you were. When it moves into the signs of Pisces and stations on the 7th, some of you may need to go back to old ways of healing. You know, like if you experienced some flare up of an issue that you had before and you know what used to work for you, do it. Stick to it. All right. This could also be a time where, let's say that you've been tending to your body, you've been tending to your mind. This could be where you reap the rewards of it when it stations. Okay. Moving on to Scorpio. Scorpio, this is happening in your 5th house and 6th house respectively. So for you, if there's anybody that would come back, it could be exes, that you had some type of romantic commitment. Some type of romantic affair. Within an affair, I don't mean like cheating, but like you were dating, you know. And then when it comes to the 6th house, it could be past work opportunities, past rental opportunities. I forgot to tell Libras as well, past rental opportunities could come back for them. Past employees, if you were once an employer, this could be a time when they come back during that Aries retrograde as well. If there's a healing, whether it's a medicine, supplement, physical routine that you used to do in the past and it was very helpful for you, this may be a time where you need to pick that back up again. Okay, if it worked, stick to it. Don't try to make it over complicated. You know, don't follow what you see online. If you found something that works for you, stick to it. Some of you may have an idea, but you may be too scared to act on it when it comes to your health, when it comes to what it is that you want to do for work, because 6th house is a house of work also. When the retrograde stations in Pisces direct on the 7th, this could definitely be a time where you celebrate whatever it was that you were working on before. So for some of you all, this could be maybe you were working on your health to conceive a child, and then surprise, we're pregnant. Me and my partner are pregnant, right? And for some of you all, it could be where, I don't know, maybe you were working on getting fit. I don't want to say this and then, you know, it shows up, but perhaps in the matter of love, things start to take off for you. You reach some type of harvest there, where before, especially with Saturn present, you may have, your love life may have been dull. You may not have had much romance. Now with this activation of a stellium in your 5th house, you can finally see things moving forward. The 5th house is the house of joy. You know, this station has to do with celebrating with family and loved ones. So this could really kick off a time, whatever information you get around April 7th could really kick off a time of celebration for you, of feeling love, of reaping some type of harvest. Sagittarius, this is happening in your 5th house and 4th house respectively. Like I said, all 5 signs may have a hard time sleeping at some point during the retrograde process, especially when it's in the sign of Pisces. Okay, so that's more so towards the end of March, early April. For some of you all, a past loved one could come back, like a romantic partner that you were once interested in. And again, you know, I did a little rant when I was talking to Virgo, but it's up to you what you choose to do. I'm not going to be an astrologer that tries to act like I don't know that there's a human psychological perspective of life. Astrology isn't just this. Tarot isn't just that. You know, everything isn't one size fits all. We don't live in a black and white world. So it is up to you to do whatever it is that you want to do. But the result of the retrograde would always be reflective of the amount of inner work that you have done. Okay? So whatever it is that you choose to do, you have free will. Okay? And that's also why eclipse season is important, because it helps to redirect us. These are retrogrades happening during eclipse season. this Aries retrograde, the Mercury retrograde in Aries is going to be connected to the solar eclipse on March 29th. This Pisces retrograde is going to be connected to the lunar eclipse that happened on March 14th. So there's a level of the past being involved in this some way, whether it's to propel us forward or to take us back, to propel us forward. You understand what I mean? So for you all, don't overindulge when it comes to the way that you celebrate, right? Or the way that you do things, because fifth house does have to do with our joy, our pleasure. And maybe there could be some old ways that you used to express or try to relax and have fun. That could come back around. And there is also a higher level of consciousness that is trying to be activated with this retrograde in Aries. So I would say for you all, Sagittarius, allow yourself to have joy. Allow yourself to indulge in a bit of pleasure, right? Because Saturn is going to move in your fifth house soon, and it's going to put a damper on those things for sure, as Scorpio placements about that. But if you have an idea, because the fifth house does have to do like our skills, our hobbies, or entrepreneurial business, the way we express yourself. If you have an idea, act on it. Don't be scared to act on it. Don't put limitations where they don't exist. Okay, it's okay to merge the old way of doing things with the new way of doing things. And if something works for you, like it really works, then stick to it. You don't have to murk it up by trying new things if not necessary. Now when it comes to the station and the retrograde in Pisces, you could finally have some type of breakthrough in your home life. Okay, this could be where you're finally celebrating with family and loved ones. It could be on that idea that you acted on in your fifth house. So let's say as simple as this. I don't even want to use this example. Okay, I'm going to use the other one. Let's say there was some idea that you had a long time that you wanted to work on, and with the retrograde you finally take the step to do it, and then it pays off. Okay, so then that creates something good for what's happening in your home for you and your loved ones. You make money off it, something to that degree. Some of you could also be changing the way that you express yourself, and that changes the way that your home is set up. You may choose to renovate, you may choose to move. Okay, you may choose to go back to somewhere that you lived before. That's all possible too. All right, Capricorn's change is coming for you all. I saw 555. All right, so this is happening in your fourth house and third house respectively. So Capricorn placements could definitely be moving back to somewhere that they lived before, or just visiting where they grew up, a community that is close to them. While the retrograde happens in your fourth house, there could be a new level of consciousness expanded in your home life, with the people in your home as well, which could be very beneficial. You may have past family members that come back around, and it could be because their minds have expanded a bit, or your mind have expanded a bit when it comes to them, so then you choose to go back around. Okay, now if it comes to anything that you want to change around the home, don't allow perceived limitations to hold you back. I will also say, when it comes to the retrograde portion of Pisces, there could have been a project that you've worked on, you're currently working on, that comes back up, right? And you put a lot into this thing. Allow yourself to celebrate what it is that you did, especially if you have family that is, coming back around, loved ones that come. Allow yourself to, Capricorns, you all work hard. So just allow yourself to take some time to unwind and relax a little bit with them. Third house has to do with communication, and it is Mercury energy that will retrograde around there. So communication around the end of March, early April could increase a lot with people in your community, with past friends, because third house could be past friends as well, and past extended family members. Okay, there could be a time of increased communication there with them. Aquarius, this is happening in your third house and second house respectively. During the retrograde in the third house, there could be, because this is like a sextile, there could be some type of past project some type of communication. Its third house does have to do with communication. Oh, I forgot to mention for Capricorn as well as you, Aquarius, this could be a time when you're having to deal with vehicles, because the third house does have to do with transportation, right? So maybe a past car that you have before comes back around, or you're having to relook at something with the present car that you have. All right, maybe an issue that it had before comes back around. When it comes to any type of certification that you're trying to pursue, or a project, or way of doing things, stick to what you know. And also, if there is something that you want to pursue, don't allow perceived limitations to put a damper on that, okay? Because if you act on it, that project, that idea, that course, when the retrograde stations in Pisces, this could be a time where you start to reap financially for whatever that was, okay? And even if it doesn't have to do the project, whatever it is that you've been working hard at, especially with Saturn in your second house for some time now, you could start to see that financial free flow occur. In terms of okay, so when it stations, it could be a time where you want to celebrate with loved ones, because you're reaping your harvest. Allow yourself to indulge a little bit, but remember, Saturn is still there. There will be some type of activation of a stellium, so there could be something that you could use the money that you're gaining for. So be smart with it, invest it, save it, okay? Indulge a little, yes, but still also be smart there, okay? Pisces, this is happening in your second house and first house respectively, right? The retrograde in your second house could bring back money making ideas that you've had before. It could bring back past possessions that you have had before. It could bring back past ways of making money that you've had before. When it stations in your first house, it is a time, I feel, for you all where you should celebrate yourself. You should celebrate how hard you've been working with Saturn in your first house, trying to force you to mature, demanding so much of you. This could definitely be a time when it stations on April 7th for you to look over those things. Some of you may choose to go back to an old way of dressing or expressing yourself with the retrograde in your first house for those few days. Especially if things that you owned before previously come back to you, right? So that's all I have. I mean, when the retrograde happens in your first house, anything could happen for you all, because it's your first house, so in those 3 days, anything from your past could come back, or any person from your past could come back. So I hope this helps. Until next time, be blessed.